Hello, everybody. It's Mr. Harder, the SLP from Brook Valley. So today's activity is going to focus on using bubbles and how you can target communication skills as well as many other skills utilizing something as inexpensive as bubbles. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And I outlined some different ideas that you can incorporate with your child at home to work on communication skills using bubbles. So for articulation, you can have your child practice different articulation sounds. Some examples I've included here are the B, the P, and the M. And those are typically the three earliest developing sounds that children acquire as they develop speech. So you can have them say bubbles, you can have them say blow, you can have them say pop, or you can even have them say more and get that M in there to have them utilizing that sound in the word more. If your child's working on early language, you can have them work on describing using attributes. So you can have them take the wand out and describe, were the bubbles big? Were they small? Did you blow them fast or slow? You can have them describe, what color the bubbles are. So if you have bubbles that are clear, like I have here, or if you have different colored bubbles, such as pink or blue or whatever colors that you have at home, those are some good ways you can incorporate different descriptive words at home with your child to work on those expressive language skills with them. You can also work on requesting. So I have a couple different things here. So your child may be able to say that they want to do more bubbles, or asking you to give me the bubbles, or can I blow the bubbles? So they might have some language there. But if your child is using different pictures to communicate, you can have the picture card of the bubbles, and you can ask them, do you want more bubbles? And really pointing out to the picture and showing them that the picture corresponds with the actual object. So your child can use the pictures like there, and they can be like board maker pictures like this, or I have even photographs, so you can even take a picture on your phone or your iPad and print it out and have them use the actual picture if that's a little bit easier for you to do. They can also work on, do you want more bubbles, or are you all done with the bubbles? So you can even have like the separate cards or the visuals to work on requesting more and all done and utilizing those different core words. Or your child might have a little board here like this one I have with me right now. And they can work on, I want the bubbles, or if they really like the bubbles, you can do ready, set, go, or stop. So you can do a little stop and go game. You can have them even working on, give me the bubbles. So the word give, or my, so like my turn. So those are some different ways you can work on using the low-tech board here. And the same strategies go for if your child has a high-tech communication device. So again, you can, utilizing the different core words on the screen, you can do like go, ready, set, go, or stop, like we talked about a little bit ago. You can even talk about where the bubbles are going. So are the bubbles going up? Up. Or are they going down? Or you can even talk about what the bubbles are landing on. So if you're blowing bubbles, like I can show you here, so I can say ready, set, and then I can go on to my board here and say go, and I can blow the bubbles, and I can talk about how the bubbles popped on the desk in front of me and how even some of them popped on my computer. So even talking about where the bubbles are popping and labeling the different vocabulary and what is going on, and commenting what is going on around you will be really beneficial to work on language development. We talked about the vocabulary, so naming different objects in the room. So you could go, you know, in your house and blow bubbles in the kitchen and talk about, you know, the bubbles popped on the table, or they popped on the counter, or they popped on the floor. You could even go outside when it's, you know, now that it's spring and warming up outside, you can go outside and talk about the bubbles, you know, popping on the driveway or in the street or on the sidewalk. Those are some just really good ideas to work on labeling and describing in that aspect as well. You could also work on different verbs. So like we kind of talked about a little bit before, and these kind of overlap with one another. So like pop, blow, float, fall, run. So you can even incorporate those different verbs or action words. And again, some of those things kind of overlap with the articulation, with the pop. So you can even work on, you know, the verbs and the articulation simultaneously. And it's also good for sentence expansion. So even practicing 2-word utterances. So you could say blow bubbles, or if I wanted to, if your child's really working on 3-word utterances, you can do blow more bubbles, or I want bubbles, to really get in that 3-word request. You can even utilize sentence expansion for commenting. So you can say bubbles fall down, bubbles go up. So really working on the commenting and just really talking about what's going on in the moment as opposed to asking questions. I know we kind of fall into that trap of asking questions about, oh, what are we doing? What are these? But just thinking about different opportunities on how you can comment and model language in different environments with the bubbles will be really beneficial. So just going beyond just asking the questions, but commenting and saying what you're actually doing, whether that's what you're doing with the bubbles or even commenting on what they're doing with the bubbles. So you can say, oh, you are blowing the bubbles, or I am popping the bubbles. So just really going beyond and commenting and modeling that language within the moment will be super beneficial. And that goes, you know, using, you know, a communication device where you can model some of those different things, such as pop and the different core words that we talked about, or even just verbally, will be very beneficial. And then if your child is working on more higher level or later language skills, these can be, bubbles can be good for following directions. So you can blow them up in the air. So I could do this. If I can get to blow. We'll try one more time. And then as you see them floating down, you can tell them which ones to pop as they're popping down. And I know it's a little bit tricky to see, but I'll try it one more time over here and see if I can get it. All right, so you can talk about which ones to pop. So you could say pop the small one, pop the big one. You can say pop 3 bubbles. So you're really working on those quantitative concepts of, you know, different number concepts. You can work on different prepositions, so, or spatial concepts. So you could say pop the bubble that is above your head. You could try having your child work on saying pop the bubble on the table, or pop the bubbles that are going behind you, pop the bubbles that are between your arms. So if they have their arms, you can work on between. So those different spatial concepts and working on those receptive language skills for those kiddos that are able to handle that and are a little bit more ready and at that level. And you can also work on sequencing skills. So you can even make bubbles at home. So if you don't have bubbles readily available at your house, you can look up a simple recipe. And I know there's a whole ton of recipes out there on how to make bubbles, but sequencing can really work on, you know, first you put in the corn syrup, then you put in the water, third you get a bowl, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really working on the sequencing and the steps of what they have to do first, second, third, and fourth. And you can do that verbally, so you can tell them the directions verbally. Or you could even, as simple as drawing out each step on a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be the pictures like I have here. You can always draw the steps and label it 1, 2, 3, and 4. And having each step drawn out. And then as each step is completed, you can have the child cross off the steps so they know, okay, this step is completed. This is what I have to do next. And it just helps with keeping their attention. And then they know what's expected. So if they're not really able to understand the verbal directions, the visual component is really going to help them understand what they're expected to do in the activity. So just a little idea there. I think that's all I have for you guys today for bubbles. I hope this activity is beneficial for you all. And if you guys have any questions or concerns, feel free to email me. My email is bharder@esu3.org. We hope to see you guys soon, and I hope you guys find this activity really fun and engaging for your child. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.